Part of this adaptive reuse for this pole barn is field measuring the existing building. So this is our end goal. So you can see we've actually finished this project, but well, not 100%. We don't have construction drawings yet, which will take place in layout, but we do need to show you how to get from that point, which is this, or is it field measure? Now this is all in SketchUp, so all of this stuff's available in SketchUp. It's floating faces out in space that I've just zeroed into and made a scene of. So something like this is where we're at, and here's, this is what was sketched out. This, as it turns out, has got some flaws in it. So went back through and found some key dimensions, and you'll see when we get to this that I've notated which are right and which are questionable. And we also took some photographs. I think the key one here is this west side elevation over on the top left. It shows the what I'm calling the mid-century pole barn, which is pretty appropriate. It's low pitched. I think it's 512 and 312. Unfortunately, they're not the same pitch. It was built kind of on the fly, I think. A reasonable attempt at a pole barn, but not really that great. In any event, we took pictures of the west side, which is the easiest to tell what this building looks like. The south, inside, there's a loft up in here that we've taken out. Looks pretty much like this bottom right corner and this middle bottom. That's really the feel that this building had to it. Some high grade diagonal bracing to keep it from sliding over. I think that was a afterthought. If you look at it, it's just kind of slapped in there. Anyway, what we'll do today is show you how to get the field measure this into a SketchUp drawing so we can initiate a floor plan from the existing drawing, from the existing building drawing that we're going to create here today. In order to get to this point, be able to achieve a drawing in SketchUp that would benefit us in terms of rebuilding this old pole barn, we're going to need to create a plan, maybe some elevations, or at least a section of the existing building, which is nothing but a bunch of locust poles and a frame roof line, which you can see here. These are pictures I took out on the site, and we've actually put this into the SketchUp drawing. So it's actually just a plane that's floating around in here, and put in photographs. We made that a group so we can move that around wherever we want. But the key thing here, I think, is that we made a scene of that. So now if we need to reference this building, it's easily done by just clicking on this photo scene. So all this stuff's in one place, so we don't have to switch it back and forth. You could, I suppose, if you have a multi-monitor situation, move this part of it over to one of the other monitors. That would work as well. We've labeled them up with some text. This is actually 3D text. I use that at a zero extrusion, and it stays where you put it. That's the reason I use it like that. Every other text, leader text, it floats around on you. Screen text is similar to this, but it doesn't move. So 3D text on the actual surface works quite well. This one I think is 312 on the left side and 512 on the right side, something like that. 5.3, it's some weird number. we'll go into that here as we get along further. I have information on that. So the first thing we need to do is get the existing field measurements into this drawing. I'm going to not use this drawing. This is kind of the end result that we're after. I'm going to start a new drawing. So in SketchUp, I already have one open. What we want to do here is just first I need a face to work on because I want to import my field measurements onto it. So just with the rectangle tool R, I'm just going to build myself an arbitrary rectangle. And I'm going to right click on it and make reverse face, just so it's white. The goal here is to get my field measurement drawing onto this arbitrary rectangle. So we'll go to File and Import and find our field measurement drawing here. And this is one I've marked up. I went through and highlighted the ones that I think are more correct than the others, and hopefully that'll help us out a bit. I tried this one time and it wasn't very accurate, so we went back through and kind of cleaned that up a bit. So anyway, import, and I'll get the image of that particular drawing on the end of the cursor. Click the bottom left corner of this rectangle. We'll drag it out until it's filled that rectangle. So the rectangle is a little short, it's a little long on the bottom. We can click on that, use the move tool and slide it in, staying on the green axis here in this case. And we'll slide it in using the move tool again to open up that top surface. So I'm just kind of reducing this down to the minimum. Now, at this point, there's no scale to this, so we need to give it some kind of scale. So what you need to do is find something on that drawing that you can measure and confirm or modify, and use the tape measure tool, T. And we're going to use this 28 foot 2 inches. So I've apparently agreed. I think it's 28.2 on this side and 29.3 on this side. So it is not square. But it's not going to matter because we're going to build something square around it. We've decided we're going to build 2 feet outside of these poles. But I want to know where the poles are so I can confirm at least that I'm at least 2 feet or approximately 2 feet outside those poles. So the poles will hold up the roof for a time period, and then we'll build walls on the new foundation up to and hold up the roof with that, the new walls, and then pull these current poles out. Why, you say, do we do all that? Because the homeowner wants it done that way. He is storing some lumber that he has cut on site to build this building. So he wants to dry it under that roof. That's the whole purpose. Anyway, seems a little much to me, but that's the way it is. So I'm going to take the line tool, and these poles were measured from center point to center point. So I'm going to approximate a center point here on this circle and draw it out on the green axis. Okay, so you can see already that, I mean, this sketch is not going to be square. It's obviously freehand, but we'll use it as a reference if nothing else. I'm going to use the tape measure tool T to make a guideline. Come off of that guideline that we just made over here on the left and draw it out at 28 foot 2. I think what I may do is average these two out. So we'll add the two together, 28 foot 2, 28 feet 2 plus 29 foot 3, 57.5, divided by 2 to get the average. We'll go 28.8 and a half is what the average is, about 28.8. So I'll come out this direction on the red axis, 28 foot 8. Okay, so you can see that the drawing is considerably larger than the actual drawing here. Yeah. So what we need to do is reduce the size of this drawing, scale it down so that 28 foot 8 is 28 foot 8. I'm going to come in and draw some lines, approximate the center of these posts, staying on axes, stay on the green axis. I'll come out and do the same thing on this post, staying on the green axis. Type in 28 foot 8. If it asks me this question, do you want to resize the model? You're going to say yes, because what you're doing is telling SketchUp that what you just measured is supposed to be 28 foot 8. It's not. You can resize everything in the model to match that piece of information. So now if I come in and check this again, it's 28 foot 8. So this drawing now is essentially to scale. I'm sure it's not perfect because, as you know, a sketch is never perfect, but my boss used to tell me that I draw to scale, but I kind of doubt that. So now that we have that piece of information, we're going to go the opposite direction, come off the center point of this circle, this post, and draw it out to the right on the red axis. And hard to believe my drawing, I think this paper actually had a grid on it because it actually looks pretty accurate. That line is the other poles. And we have conflicting information a little bit here. We got 18.4 and 18.2, so we'll call it 18.3. So I'm going to use the tape measure tool and create a guideline, 18 foot 3. And it looks pretty good. I'm surprised how close this is. Maybe my boss was right. Maybe I do draw to scale. So I'm just dragging these lines out past each other. So clicking on that surface in between all those lines, you can see that we have, let's see, take measure off one of these corners, and we'll click on the first one, second one, just hover 28.8 as we said it should be, and this should be 18.3, 18.3. So we're good. Now what we had decided with this is that we're going to leave the posts, or a post in the middle, as kind of the retrospective recognition of the old building. The ridge is at, I think, 10 foot 3 off the center of one of these columns. Let's see, 10 feet 3, 8 feet 2, 18.5. So if these two numbers add up to 18.5, this is 18.4. So we're going to make it 18.4 to the ridge. So from this point out here on this edge, I'm going to drag out another guideline at 18 foot 4. That just tells me that that's not what I wanted. I want 8 foot 2. Yeah, we'll make it 8 foot 2. I'll make it 98 inches, which is 8 foot 2. I'll draw a line there out to these edge lines. So now I have essentially the ridge. Now what we've decided to do is to figure out where these columns are first and then work 2 feet outside of that. So I'm going to eliminate the guidelines that I have here at the moment. With J is a shortcut for me, but if you wanted to do it, you can do edit, delete guides. And you can see it says J over here on the right. That's the shortcut. Learn keyboard shortcuts. It makes your life a lot easier. In the center, we have a post that says it's 14.5, 14 feet 5 plus 13 feet 9. It's 28.2, so that works out pretty nice. I'm going to go with the 14 foot 5. Doesn't really matter that much, but we'll get it in there at approximately in the right space. So another guideline off that point, that edge, and we'll go 14.5, 14 feet 5. And here these posts are 9 inches in diameter. So this is the center point, actually, not that. We'll draw a circle, 4.5 inch radius for a 9 inch diameter. So that's our first post. I'm going to take this one and make a group out of it. Can't make a group with less than 2 pieces, but so we had 2 half circles. Move control. I'm going to grab this one and bring it over to this point, which is on the red axis. And control again, so I can copy it yet again up toward the top. And I'm going to let it set on this edge. Green left arrow key. Okay, control. Again, copy this over on the green axis, left arrow, red axis, right arrow key, and find this intersection. And pick this one down here again. Move control for copy. Drag this over till I get to this edge on the red axis. And then there's a post in the center here. You control again so I can copy this again. To that center line. And I need to come down to the end and get another post. Okay. So I should have all the posts. I'll tip this over. Now, one of the things we can do here that's kind of fun and it makes it a little easier to do this, and we've gotten fairly far along without doing it, but I think it's worthwhile. Let's copy this one over again to the other side. Move control or M control. On the green axis, click. One of the things we can do is go to our styles dialog. We can make this read a little bit better. I go to the styles dialog box and pick edges here, the first icon. And at the bottom of it, it says color. And all same is what we have. That's pretty typical for lines. You can do by material, which is nice if you want the lines to kind of disappear along the edge of a material. You don't want black. It'll pick up the base color, give it a little more of a rendering kind of look. Or by axes if you're having trouble making sure, you're having trouble getting planes faces to develop. So if I click that, you can see all these lines turn red or red and green. If they're black, they'll be off axes. That's a way to help you resolve faces. You can see if lines are off axes pretty quickly that way, and then fix them. All same. again, we'll make it red. So click on that black box and go in the color picker and just slide red over to full red. And what's going to happen here is all the lines we just drew will turn red. Everything we draw from this point on will be red. So it's a little easier to look at, and it's a little easier to see. And we can be a little more accurate, or at least know that we're being accurate. So the last lines are in the center here. What we had going on was that from the center line here running through this, there's 4 inches in between these posts. There were 2 posts in the middle here. Not really sure why. I think they ran short of lumber and needed one for the ridge line coming both ways. I don't know how long this building's been there, 20 some years, I guess. So we'll take a guideline and off the other guideline go 2 inches. I'm making a 4-inch space and 2 inches the other way. And then we're going to move over 4.5 for the center of the column. 4.5. And we'll draw columns, C for a circle. I'll take it off that point and this point. So now I have 4 inches between 2 9-inch posts. I'm going to type in a J for delete guides. It's amazing how some of this is almost exactly where it's supposed to be. I can't believe I was that accurate. I'm going to take a tape measure just to check. I want to measure something here. Yeah, okay. It looked like this and this weren't aligned, but they are. So we have that. So from the center line of this, what we did decide was we're going to go 2 feet out. We're trying to keep the new foundation wall under the existing roof. We gave some idea of where the roof was when we measured it, but it's kind of hard. It's floating up in the air, and we just made a kind of a judgment call and made it 24 inches. What we'll do is just offset these lines. I'm going to do it with a tape measure tool. Go 24 inches off that line. 24 inches off this line. 24 off that line. 24 off this line. So that should be our floor plan, our floor perimeter. I'm going to take a rectangle and draw from those intersections. Okay, so we should have faces. Delete some of these lines so the faces don't keep occurring where they don't need to be. So now with all that erased, we essentially have created the footprint of the existing, well, not the existing building, but the new version of the existing building. So all of this that is now highlighted is basically extraneous stuff. I'm going to keep it for now, but it's not going to be part of the building. That's our footprint highlighted. So what I'm going to do is take these faces and pull them up. I'm going to just use an arbitrary number of 2 feet. 24. Pull this one up and match 24. So the columns, double click on these. pull them up that same height. What I'm trying to do is create a floor plan of what's there. I'm going to erase these extra lines in here just so I have a pure column. These columns will in the end come out. They're going to go away when the new building is built. But I'd like to keep track of them for right now and make sure things don't go astray. That's kind of messy with the drawing underneath, but that'll go away as well in a short while. I'll keep it as a reference for now. It's good for still having something to refer to. So we're push-pulling all of these parts up 2 feet is what's going on. Push-pull it up 2 feet. Now you get all these lines in here. That's because we exploded that element previously. We can use the eraser tool with control and swipe across all this and to smooth this out. This is just for visual, really. It's not going to make any real difference in the end, which is convenient. It's a nice way to work. Finish these up. Erase, control. Double click again. It's actually down there. I'll just draw a line across. I'm going to pull these up 2 feet above that floor just to keep it separated. Okay. Now I need to make the actual floor, which is going to be this. I just took a rectangle and traced over that since it was wanting to disappear on me. I'll just pull this up 12. All right, I'm trying to keep them separated so I have what I want when I want it. Let's look at this straight from the top. So now it's just a floor plan. So this is a top view and the camera's in parallel projection. Right now it's in perspective, so I'll put it in parallel and I'll give you a floor plan. So this you can use later in your drawing. What we can do with this is do a window. I think I got it all. Yeah. That essentially is the existing building. I'm going to make a copy of that. Move control, copy it over off to the side. That gives us the existing building. So now we have a record drawing of what we're working with to start with. This can be painted. I think we'll leave the dimensions, but over here, we'll put some paint over these things so these numbers go away. So on the materials, B for materials, bucket, if you will. Go to colors. And just pick a nice color. I will do the columns in another color. So this helps me segregate this stuff from the field measure notes underneath. Okay, and then I'm going to paint this last part, which is going to be the footprint of the new building. I'll make that with a lighter gray, I guess. We'll look at this from the top. some parallel projection. So right now that's an exact floor plan. Really, that's about it to get that shape from your sketch, your field measurement sketch, into your SketchUp file. So really, it's a basis of copying, laying out the external lines, and I think one of the important parts is changing that color to red, which seems like a minor thing, but it makes it a lot simpler. Now from this, we'll go to the next episode, and we'll start creating the addition onto the left side here and try to figure out what essentially that's going to be. Now it's going to be up to us as to what we decide to make it. And that surface is the 2 feet we've added. It's more than 2 feet. It's 2 feet from the center line. So 2'3". Let's check this out overall. 22.3, 32.8. I'd like this to be 20. I'd like this to be an even number. 22.3. I'd like it to be 22.4. So I'm going to take this and stretch it out half an inch this way. Use the move tool from 0.5. This is just me. I like things to be nice round numbers in increments of minimum 4 or maximum 4. 0.5. Okay, so I'm using move to stretch I'm checking it again, see what's happening there. 22.4. Okay, good. I'll type in a J to get rid of those guidelines. And we now have the place to start our new building. If we want, and I think I'll probably do it, we can paint the surface here behind it again to make all that text go away. I think I'll paint it some color. There we go. I'll go up here to the color materials box and I'm going to lighten that up. So the colors that are in SketchUp are, they are given to you, but they're not fixed in time and space. So hopefully you can see what happened there. I took the sketch, dropped it into SketchUp on a face, scaled it, then traced and rectified some of the dimensions that were on the sketch. You can always go out and figure this out again, but conceptually we're going to have our walls 2 feet outside of these posts. So even if there's some slight variations in that, or even as much as a foot and a half, it'll still work. That's about it for this. We can go on to working out the addition and the floor plan next. I'm going to go ahead and make a scene of this, so I got to go to scenes. First one you have to do under the dialog box, but after that you don't have to. Create scene, and it's going to show up here on the top. Here in the dialog box it shows as well. If you, I think, double click in here, or right click, right click in here, double click up here. Now it's right click in both of them. So you can change the name is what I'm getting at. It says rename scene. I'm going to call it footprint original. Hit enter. So now if we go off and do something else, we can hit original and it'll get us there. I think I'll leave it red for right now, but we can change that back to black just by going back to the styles dialog, which I believe is down here. And we go to edges, edit, and go down to all same. Get rid of the red. We can make it whatever color we want. It doesn't have to be black. This being RGB, we can make it a tone of gray if we want to. You can see what the preview is going to be over here. So you can, in your drawing, if you want not to be black lines. You can make them gray or literally whatever color you like. Say OK. Now we have gray lines and white and tan. I think that's kind of nice. The fill on these circles is matching the perimeter, I think. No, that's the color I used. Anyway, that's the basis for this. Got the original sketch into our SketchUp drawing, and we're ready to go with working on some foundation drawings and some floor plan drawings, essentially design at this point. So that's it for today. I appreciate you coming by. Thanks, and have a great day.